In this video, I'm going to go over the 4v4 game model, the 7v7, 9v9, and 11v11. So you're looking at youth development models all the way from the young kids all the way until you get to 13 plus years old, where you do the 11v11 model. So let's start with the 4v4 model. We're looking at a basic shape. When you have the ball, we're looking here at a basic diamond shape. When you don't have the ball, there's all sorts of different shapes you could take. Here's a basic defensive shape. Now, if you notice, there's no goalkeeper and there's a small goal. This is your basic 4v4 training model. As you can see, now how you train in the 4v4 training model, well, we start off with basic rondo. So if you see, we still have the positions. You know, you have a center back, a left back, right back, and whether you want to call them a center mid, center forward, all that really doesn't mean so much. But you see, you start off with a 4v1 basic rondo, and that is a game model. And we can step this up in difficulty if the kids are getting the 4v1 idea, step it up to 4v2. And again, that's just basically teaching the game model with a rondo. Next, you can see that we have a sliding rondo model, and it starts off with 4v1, and you can make the rules yourself, whether you want 3 passes connected before you can transfer the ball to the next grid. Whatever you want to do, whatever fits the player's ability level. But you can see only the 2 players, the left back and the right back, are going to slide to the next grid. The defender would slide to the next grid as well. You could even place a defender in the following grid if you don't want the defender to slide. Just more ideas of how to train the 4v4 game model in a rondo type of situation. And you can see in this next one, we just stepped up to 2 defenders. And here we kind of have a strict rondo game model where you have the players in red, they will always stay on the team with the ball. The players in blue who have the ball are playing against the 2 defenders. So it's game model versus 2. If the gray players intercept the ball, then the blues become the defenders, and you can score in one direction only. That's again rondos. Now, you often run into the situation where, hey, my players, it's the first day of training and you have a 4v4 group, you know, and they can't do a basic rondo. So here's a simple passing. So you start off and maybe it's a diamond shape, and you pass inside of the foot pass, inside the foot receive, you go clockwise, counterclockwise, nice and simple. And then we can build into maybe 6 players on the outside, and you pass multiple balls, maybe 1 ball, 2 balls, 3 balls, whatever they can do with nobody in the middle. Next, now you go to a 5v1. Well, sorry, not a 5v1. Now you have a floater in the middle. You're still passing maybe 2 balls, 3 balls, whatever it is. You're just getting the idea of passing the balls back and forth. And the one below here, now we have a ball to hand. So now the players always have to scan. We're tossing that yellow ball to hand as one of those balls, the regular soccer ball is played on the ground. All these things are introductory activities to get it to the point where the kids can actually play rondo. As we keep moving here, we go into condition game model games. So you divide the field into 3 different lanes, lane 1, 2, and 3. And what happens is coach rolls the ball in, center back, center forward, goes into the middle lane. Lane 1 is the left back, lane 2 is the right back, and 2 defenders run on, right? And they have a goalkeeper. But in this 4v4, you don't need a goalkeeper. As you progress to 7v7, then you would use a goalkeeper. But right now, I put it in there probably by mistake. So it's 4 versus 2, but in this example, again, it's 5 versus 2. This is game model stuff. They have to work it out and score on the far end goal. And the lanes force them get into the position they would need, what we would call attacking organization, right? And here's another one using the lanes. And this one is actually quite interesting because you're also working on defensive organization. All you'd have to do is tell the gray team they're only allowed to send 1 player over the halfway line at a time. And you can see they stay in their zone. So now they have to stay in their proper zone, just like the attacking team. Only 1 player can go over the line at a time. Very, very good conditioned game. And you'll notice how organized and how the kids will start to understand the positions when they do things like this. In this, again, just a conditioned game working on attacking support. Same type of stuff, 4v4 game model. We split the field into 3 different sections. The only rule is that you have to leave at least one player in the middle section of the field when you're trying to score the goal and your team is in the attacking third, right? And what does that do? It makes sure you always have attacking support. So if a player needs to play the ball back, now all 4 players are in the attacking third. They always have someone to play back to. Another simple condition game, right? Now, here's for creating width. Simply say you have to have both, when you have the ball, players need to be on both sides of that line. Simple, just so you don't get all 4 players on one side. That's obviously the top example. That's really simple to do. If you look at the one on the bottom here, this one right here, I divided it into 3 different lanes. This is a little bit more difficult to have all 3 lanes filled, but I added an extra goal to make scoring on each far lane. Very, very, very good game for a condition game for teaching how to keep width in the attack. Again, you can see this is a 3-section field with 4 goals. It's just a basic setup. It's a good setup when you're running condition games. So here we see the game model 4, so 4 versus 2, and this gets the kids 4 versus 2 going to goal. It's a good introduction. It's a good way to introduce some problem solving. 4 against 2, hey, what do we do? As you can see now, it's 4 against 2, but there's a recovering defender, so it's really going to be 4 against 3. It's forcing the team in blue. If you're going to score right away, we need to get some speed into this attack. How are we going to move the ball forward? How are we going to, set up our team? What are the movements we're going to use to most effectively score before that third defender gets back and it gets a little bit more difficult for us to score? Now we added another defender, so it's eventually going to be 4 against 4. This is really recovering defenders. This blue team has to have an idea of how they're going to score quickly, what type of movements, how we're going to move the ball. All these things are good. It's building the soccer IQ, building the soccer brain. This is all in the 4v4 game model. This is for vertical width. So the other thing I would stress is make sure that especially, you could do this for all the way up to 11v11. Make sure you do your 1v1s, 2v1s, 3v2s, etc. This all builds the player's soccer IQ, their soccer intelligence. They learn how to problem solve 1v1, 2v1, 3v2. And one of the things is, if you look at the top diagram here, don't just do 1v1, 1 against 1, going straight at them. Have the opponent behind him, the opponent on the side, the opponent on an angle, the opponent plus sideline. Put him in put the player in different situations to build the soccer IQ. These are very simple, exercises here to show you different 1v1s. Here's different ways you could train the 1v1, so they're going at each other on angles and things like this. This diagram is showing your basic solutions for 2v1s. Let me make that a little bigger there. So basic solutions for 2v1s: an overlap, running behind, create space to the side, and different problems that they'll come up to. And you have to practice it this way, because if you only practice, hey, here's 2 against 1, and you never show them any different kind of solutions to these problems and different setups, then it becomes maybe a little bit not as well-rounded, not as realistic. So we move on from that. You can see these are exercises: 2 against 1, going to goal. This is going to be 3v2, but notice that one defender is coming from the side, one's coming from the back of the goal, so it's a little different look. Again, building the soccer IQ. And here's what we call just some different street soccer games. So it is still the game model, but we added a neutral player in there, a plus player, so you're looking at 5 versus 4. One team is scoring on the 3 goals, one team is scoring on the end zone. Here's a little 2v2 training. Here's a little possession. Maybe it's 4 against 1. They send one player. If they win the ball, goes back to the other side. The blue will send one player. Just simple keep away possession type of games you can train in that game model. And this is a simple game in a 10 by 10, 12 by 12, whatever you want to do. It's 4 against 2. We are on the 7v7 game model. As you can see, this is for the U9 to the U10 year olds. Basic shape 1-3, because now we have a goalkeeper. It's a 1-3-2-1. Again, this is actually the same formation Barcelona Academy trained their team in. So you have center back, left back, right back, 2 center mids, and a striker. And we'll give you a basic defending shape right there. Maybe a 3-2-1. Obviously, you could change these things, but that's our basic defending shape. Again, 7v7 game model. We'll start out with a 4v1 rondo, and then we'll work up from there. We'll build that into a floater in the middle where we have 5v1. And if you notice the positions, you still have your center back, left back, right back, center mid, and a forward, right? We're only just missing 1 center mid there. So now we build this up into, we actually have 2 center mids there now. So it's a 6v2, and we're trying to transfer that ball to the other side. And our forward is on the other side. The wing backs would slide up. And here now we've taken away that center line, and now you have your game model right there. It's 6 field players, and obviously game model will be 1 goalkeeper. But you have 2 center mids who split the field in half. You have a striker up top, center back, left back, and right back against 3 players. So that is your game model, and this is, you could call this kind of like a modified rondo. All they want to do is work the ball from one side to the other, find where the spaces are. In this game here, it's the same thing, but now if the gray team wins the ball, they switch with the blue team, right? And the blue team right now always works with the red team, but if they lose the ball, then the gray team replaces the blue team, and the blue becomes the defenders. And you could go to goal in that game. That's a game model to goal. Obviously, here's the same thing, and you're going to only 1 goal. So if say the gray team wins the ball, the blue team will have to go maybe clap hands in front of goal as the gray team gets in their attacking organization positions, and then it's off again. Really, really good way to train the game model. Again, this is some more conditioned stuff. So now we have the goalkeeper, and so the coach rolls in the ball, and the 2 center mids stay in that center lane, the center back stays in the center lane, left and right back stay in their outside lanes, and the center forward stays in the center lane. Now what I'll say about this is, and you can see this is 7 versus 4, eventually you can allow that center mid on just say the right side to venture into lane number 3 into the right back's lane. You can allow the center forward to start to run into the channels just a little bit. I would keep it very strict to start so they understand their zone, and then I would give a little bit of flexibility for people to cross into one zone, while the center forward and center back could probably cross into all 3 zones, right? So that's a conditioned game. As we can see, we build this conditioned game into 7v5. Keep going. This is just a different way to look at it. So you're going to 3 goals, 3 counter goals instead of just 1. And now we're using the lanes to teach attacking and defensive organization. So you can see now you allow one of the gray players now, this is 6v6, a 7v7 game model, you can allow one player to cross over that red line while they're defending. So now you're really teaching defensive compactness. You're teaching zonal defending. One player goes, the rest drop in. And you can see now that center mid has shifted into lane number 3, so we're allowing them to overlap a little into the next person's lane. Really, really good idea to add these conditions and lanes into training your game model. Again, we went over this in the 4v4 model. This is teaching attacking support. So you could see that you have at least now 2 players have to be in the middle lane if you divide it into thirds, while the rest of the team is in the attacking third, so you always have attacking support. Just different ways you can, this is all based upon, it's a game-based training model, really. Everything relates to the game model. So this is again a teaching attacking with, make sure you have three lanes are filled, 1 player minimum per each lane. 5v5, 5v4, 5v3, this is a 5v4, just looking at attacking to goal. Again, now you have recovering defenders in this. So this is actually going to be, we're actually, so there's no center back in this example here, but you're looking at, this is going to be 5v5 going to goal. You could switch these and build these any way you want. Here's more of the 1v1s and the 3v2s that we did with the 4v4 game model. You can see this is pretty similar stuff. We've thrown in some different exercises, but it's all pretty similar. This right here is a good exercise, 2v1 exercise. The yellow player is the only one who can go to all 4 squares. It always creates a 2v1 in every square. This is some simple street soccer games. They're just different. It builds the soccer IQ. It puts the kids in different situations. They score in different ways. And we move on to the 9v9 game training model. And the 9v9 model, you could play it a bunch of different ways, you know, formations, whatever you want to call them. You have here, you have a 2-3-2-1, and then I also put in here a 3-2-3, and you can see the different positions and the different players and so forth. And the yellow lines represent the triangles all over the field. These are really 2 dynamic formations where ball possession is really at a premium. But obviously, you know, a formation is just a formation. It changes when you have the ball, when you don't have the ball. Some basic defending shapes, a 4-3-1, you're looking at a 3-4-1, so forth. So that's basic defending shapes. Here's some game model rondo training. You have 2 center backs there. You have your 2 wing backs pushed on. You have 3 center mids right there, and 1 striker up top. That's the red team, correct? And the gray team is the exact same formation. So those are game model formations, and you have 1+ player in the middle. So this is strictly game model rondo training right there. As the players increase in skill level, eventually that stuff could be done 1 touch. It's really a quite good exercise. You might want to start off with 2 or 3 touch. Here we could see, again, this is our game model. We got the 2 wing backs here, so 2-4-1-1 is what this looks like. You called it 2-3-2-1 against 4 players. The idea is, can we work this ball? Can we keep this ball, get it to the player up top, and then play it back? More conditioned stuff, again, 8v5. This is strictly game model. This is 2-3-2-1, trying to break down those 5 players. All the zones, again, the left back, the right back, the center mids, everybody has a zone that's assigned to them, and then you can start to break those zones depending on each player. Again, now we added, the only difference here, we added a keeper, we added 2 keepers. Same idea with the conditions. Now we actually start to, hey, it's 9v9, this is playing out of the back, right? Specific ways to play out of the back. You can set the players up in numerous different patterns that you want playing out of the back. Eventually, my idea is to educate to the team to the point where you got to read what the defense is doing, and then you go and you find the spaces you set up to exploit the spaces that the defense has given you. So, you know, if they're going to press 3+1 high, maybe the solution is to hit a ball over the top of them out wide, and we build from there. But again, all these things are done is to stimulate ideas and to learn how to problem solve, and ultimately to build the soccer IQ. And just to give you some more ideas, like this is splitting this up now in a 9v9 game model, teaching defensive compactness with zones. So you'd say to the red team, hey, you know, we're teaching horizontal compactness. So if the ball is in their defensive third, every player on your team has to be in the middle zone or their defensive third, which is your attacking third. So you can see in that first example, that's what happened. And then if we want to add vertical compactness into there along with horizontal compactness, we can see here, if the ball is in the upper left, right, they're working out of the back in that square, then the red team must fill, again, only the first 2 zones, and now only those 4 vertical zones as well. So the team shape is very tight and very good. you don't have to say anything as a coach. Once they understand the conditions and the boundaries, they're going to do it all themselves and they're going to self-correct. That's the nice thing about conditioned games and conditioned exercises is the exercises tend to teach the major ideas. Of course, you can get in there and make your corrections and so forth, but the conditions naturally help the players do what they're supposed to do, what you want them to do in relation to your game model. Now we go to the 11v11 game model, and I'm actually going to stop there. I gave 3 formations for the 11v11 game model, but the idea that I wanted to get across to you guys is when you're teaching, you're in a youth club, the typical coach is in a youth club and they have to deal, you might have a U7 team, a U12 team, and a U14 team, right? You really should understand that even with all these teams, what is your formation? What are your formations? How does that formation change from when you have the ball to when you lose the ball to when you win the ball to when you have a chance to build up, so forth? What is that shape your team takes, your defensive shape? How do you teach the game through rondos, right? Every game model can be taught through rondo training. How do you do conditioned games at every age group to teach your game model? And these are the things I tried to show you a little bit of. And the 1v1, 2v1, 3v2, why are these exercises so important? How can you manipulate these exercises to build the soccer brain, to build the soccer IQ? And it can be done, and it's very important to do at every level of soccer. And on top of that, we'll call them street soccer games, but really it's just, games that put the players in unique environments and that forces them to problem solve, right? So one team scores one way, another team scores a totally different way, and it puts them in a unique environment, and hopefully that unique environment gives them over time a unique skill set, and if anything, it forces them to problem solve right then and there and figure out solutions. So that was a quick overview of how I personally look at player development along the 4v4 all the way up to 11v11. Obviously it gets much more in depth than that, but that's the basics, that's the basic ideas, and then you could build out from there. Hope you enjoyed it.